first time we spoke to you since the announcement that Trent will be leaving at the end of his contract. How do you now feel about his decision to go, and what reception do you hope for him this weekend?
I think, like everybody who likes Liverpool and who's a fan of Liverpool, we are disappointed for him leaving, because not only a good human being is leaving the club, but a very, very, very good fullback is leaving us as well. But I also worked at clubs like AZ Alkmaar and Feyenoord, where every season a very good or multiple very good players have left the club. So I'm a bit more used to it, maybe, that players leaving the club, and the experience I have, and by the way this club as well, that if a very good player is leaving, the next very good player will step up, and that's probably what's going to happen now again as well.
What about the situation, though, about him possibly leaving the club ahead of his contract expiring so as he could play in the Club World Cup? Can you tell us what the club's thoughts are on that? Is that potentially likely to happen?
Do you know where he's going then?
We understand, but the direction of travel is Real Madrid.
Okay. No, he hasn't said anything about it himself. The only thing he said is that he's going to leave the club. So for me, it's impossible to comment on where he's going, and if that is a club that is going to play in the Club World Cup. You see on my smile and that we both know where he's going to, but it hasn't been said yet. So that's impossible for me to comment on. And team selection is as it's been last week. It's going to be the same thought process goes through my mind for the Sunday game. I think if Conor would have been available for Chelsea, he would have started already against Chelsea. But he wasn't, so there's a fair chance that he will start, Conor, then on Sunday.
How important do you feel it is to round off the season now in the right fashion? Obviously you've got a chance now against Arsenal. In some ways people look at it as potentially an opportunity again to lay down another marker ahead of next season, but do you feel you need that momentum to carry into next season now as well?
I think we want to win every game of football, so we were disappointed losing against Chelsea. And that's nothing different for Arsenal. These two clubs have the highest possible standards of what you can ask for. Both very good teams. So yes, we both want to win, but it's a bit different than when the league would still not been finished yet, in a sense of that we wouldn't have won the league title yet. But yes, we definitely want to win the game, but I don't think that's any different to Arsenal.
Anna, did you watch Arsenal in the week, and how do you assess the shape that they're in heading into the weekend?
Yes, of course I've watched it. I've watched Inter against Barca as well. Sorry?
That was better. It was a great game, wasn't it?
It was, but a friend of mine said to me, was it that much more entertaining and that much better, or was it because every chance at Inter and Barcelona it led to a goal, and then all of a sudden it's 3-3 or 4-3, and everyone's wow. But maybe the same amount of chances were there with Arsenal playing Paris Saint-Germain, but not every chance was a goal because of both goalkeepers. And I knew already how good Donnarumma was facing him here at Anfield, so that wasn't a surprise to me. Both games were, I think, a joy to watch. So there's been not so much said about the format, but I think the end stage of every tournament, no matter what the format is always nice, and the quality all four teams have shown in these 4 games has been extraordinary as well. So joy to watch both games, to be honest.
I know you've spoken about Conor Bradley a fair amount in recent weeks. I just wonder, now that there is certainty over Trent's situation, how highly do you rate Conor in terms of, I know there's a lot of potential, and what he's shown so far in the Liverpool shirt has been pretty impressive, but to be a potential first choice right back for the next few years, can he do what Trent's been able to do and come through the ranks and establish himself as one of the best right backs that Liverpool have had?
Yeah, let's not compare him with Trent. Now already there are also 2 different types, in my opinion. With Conor, I think we all see the potential, but last week I walked onto the pitch together with him, and I looked around because for me it was the first time, and I was very surprised to hear from him that he had a comment about the stadium as well, and I looked at him like, "Didn't you know yet?" He said, "No, it's the first time that I'm here as well." And that was a bit of a surprise to me, because for me, he's already further in his development than being for the first time in an away game like Chelsea. Very talented player, Conor. Unfortunately, hasn't been fit throughout the whole season, and it is, to become a very good player, you have to be available every single week as well, and that's the first step he has to make for next season. But we have a lot of confidence in Conor as a very good fullback for Liverpool, and that's already what he's shown, I think, in the past 2 seasons.
Arne, you made 6 changes last weekend. Given the result, is the plan still to use some of the squad players for the remaining games of the season, or does that result change your planning in any way?
I think there are a lot of influence on the decisions I make, and one of them is also definitely losing a game of football. So I'm not looking forward to lose all 4 of them. So, but there are more things going into a lineup than only losing or only rotating, giving the chance to other players. So yeah, we will wait and see how we play on Sunday. But I already said that Conor is going to start, because I think he needs playing time as well to get some games under his belt to be better prepared for next season.
And even though the title is now won, I guess you'll expect a really sort of edgy, competitive game against Arsenal, given they've been the closest team to you for most of the season.
Yeah, it's difficult to predict, but I think both teams look forward to play this game. But it's difficult to predict if, maybe there's a little bit at stake for Arsenal, because they will qualify for Champions League, but I assume they prefer to end up second than end up 3 or 4. For us, we can only end as a number 1. But so it's difficult to predict if it will be edgy, yes or no, but it will be a game of football where there are 22 players on the pitch that are from a real high quality, with players that can come off the bench that have the same quality. So it's a game to look forward to, as many, because there's Real Madrid Barcelona during the weekend, there's Benfica Sporting in the weekend, and you guys don't know because you're not interested in Holland, but it's PSV, Feyenoord PSV as well. So a lot of nice games to look forward to during the weekend. Unfortunately, all on Sunday, so I miss out on almost all of them, except for Liverpool Arsenal.
Carl.
Just to go back to Trent. Everyone seems to have an opinion on him, and certainly since he made his announcement this week, we've had journalists, media, fans, everyone has their own opinion on him. How has he handled that sort of fallout, and how do you think, what sort of reaction should he get? Are you concerned about the reaction that he might get when he does play?
No, that people have an opinion about us, if it's Trent or me or someone else who works in this industry, that's not new for anyone. Probably it's a bit more for him now than he's used to, and maybe a bit more negative than he's used to. But I don't follow all of this. I'm not here to tell the fans how they should react. I will see Trent in a bit, and the boys had a few days off as well, so I will wait and see how he feels about him announcing that he's gonna leave the club. I did speak to him on WhatsApp, but let's wait and see. But I'm not here to tell the fans how they should react. I think we're all disappointed, but Trent is the first one also who said that he would prefer us as a team and us as a club not to be too much distracted by this announcement. So I'm hoping that all the energy on Sunday goes to the players and to the support of our fans, and as less as possible to Trent. Unless it's positive, then they can do whatever they want.
And his departure would leave you a little bit light in the right back area. So is that sort of another area you've got to look at?
Is that true?
You play Quansah there, but he's probably not a right back. Joe Gomez has played there, but he's probably not as comfortable as a centre back. So I was wondering, is it an area you look at needing strength?
And we've got Conor Bradley, and I've played Curtis Jones over there. So 4 players that can play that position. I agree with you, one of them that is the ideal position, and Joe Gomez can play there really well, in my opinion, but maybe his favorite position would be centre back. I agree with you, and for Jarell it's the same. So yeah, I think it would be a surprise to you if I would tell you now, yes, we are looking at this or we're looking at that. We don't talk about contracts over here, so we don't talk about the positions or if we want to improve the team in certain areas. There were, first of all, and that's the most difficult thing for a club like Liverpool, if you just won the league and we were so competitive against Paris Saint-Germain because they needed penalties to knock us out, then it's not easy to find better players than we already have. And if they are there, they need still to be affordable, and they need to want to come to our club. That last thing is mostly not the problem, by the way, but sometimes transfer fees are.
Hi Arne. Taking over from a successful manager isn't always easy. Can you talk about the approach you took to replacing Jurgen Klopp? And what do you think Liverpool did well to give you that platform to succeed?
Now, first of all, what Liverpool did well and Jurgen did well is leave the team in a good place. So there was a lot of quality. And what about myself is not emphasize too much on the fact that you replace someone who did so well. Because there are so much general opinions in football. So, for example, if it's a bit of trouble in the hierarchy of a club above you, so in sports directors or general managers or ownership, then it's impossible to play good football on the pitch. That has nothing to do with Liverpool, but that's what they said. That's what people always say, and I experienced that at Feyenoord, where there were a lot of problems above me, but it didn't lead to us not performing on the pitch. And it's the same like this. Then all of a sudden it's impossible because Arsene Wenger left and Sir Alex Ferguson left to do well afterwards. That is not something that always should happen. I don't believe in these things, let's put it that way. So if you have a good squad of players, and that's what we had, just start to work with them and try to get the best out of them. And I haven't thought that much about replacing Jurgen and that it was impossible at Arsenal or United multiple years ago. Life has changed, the world has changed, so you cannot compare these situations. But if I wouldn't have said it anymore, a new manager would have already sitting here because I was sacked. People would have said, yeah, it's impossible to replace. But now this probably changed. From now, if now, I don't know which manager has been at a club. If Pep is going to leave, maybe now in 1, 2 or 3 years, people will say, it is possible to do well after he's leaving.
Hi Arne, I wanted to ask you a little bit more about Jarell. Sunday was only his second start of the season in the league at centre-back, and there's been a lot more focus post-match on the mistake he made for the penalty as opposed to a lot of the good work he did in that game. And it's not the first time this season that the mistake he's made has overshadowed some of the good work earlier in the game. Does that really illustrate how difficult and how rare it is for a young player to come through at centre-back at such a big club like Liverpool?
No, I like it that you are mentioning that he played a good game, because I completely agree on that. He played a really good game. I think maybe the last step he has to make, and he already made that, but then on consistently level, is not to be involved in that moment what happened in the last minute, because he has all the qualities, and he's already shown that to me, but I think also to you, to play for this club. But the biggest part of us winning the league is, of course, consistency, and that is the most difficult part for a younger player to get in his to get that as well. Some of them, like Lamine Yamal, it's not a really big problem for him to find consistency in it, but yeah, that is. But Jarell has done. I think he developed really well throughout the whole season, and the next step is for him. Not to be involved in a moment like this in the last minutes, which had no impact on the result. But it would have been nice for him if it wouldn't have happened, because then probably everyone would have been much more positive about his performance. But Jarell is fast, he's strong, he's comfortable on the ball. He has every ingredient a centre-back for this club should have. And now the last part should be consistency in his performances.
Is that really hard as well? Because obviously the one thing he probably needs is the hardest thing to give him, which is consistent game time. Because obviously we've got Virgil, we've got Canate already at the club, and obviously you mentioned Joe Gomez when he gets back from fitness. He's going to be in the mix as well.
Yeah, that's why it's so hard to play for Liverpool. For everyone, not only for a player that comes from the academy, but also the players we bring in. To play in this team, you need to be really, really, really good. And he is competitive to the other ones, but he was maybe a bit unlucky that the other ones stayed fit throughout the whole season. And they had so much consistency in their levels. And Jarell has had consistency as well, but one moment can change the perception of a game. But one moment can also lead to us losing or winning a game of football. One moment he had the ball at the post against Paris Saint-Germain, I think 10 minutes before the end. So these small details can make a big difference in a season, and that's why, to play at Liverpool, to play at Arsenal, to play at Paris Saint-Germain, you need to do so many things well at the highest level. But the moment you do so, he can play here for so many years to come.
The last one.
Arne, earlier this week, Arsenal Wenger said he can see more big players leaving on free transfers going forwards. Is that a trend that you could see happening, I suppose? Would that change Liverpool's stance going forward? Trying to get fees if players are running the contracts down rather than letting them go on free transfers?
You cannot deny that this happens a bit more than it did in the past, but it's not that it's like happens a lot. If my memory is correct, I think it happens mostly with a certain club that brings free agents in, and you don't see it that much at other big clubs yet. But I cannot predict the future, so I don't know what's going to happen. But it happened a few times now. But I also see a lot of players moving for big transfer fees in every single window of the last 3, 4 or 5 years. So could be a trend. Funny word, by the way. You understand it, Trent?
Yes.
Yeah, you're not laughing, so probably it's not funny. But let's wait and see if that's going to happen, yes or no. I don't know. I cannot predict the future.
Thank you. Breakout next
Thanks,
time.
Arne. Thank you.